I'm really excited to talk about this program because I don't normally talk about my profession very often on here. I mean, technically I make money from audio engineering, but not as much as I do from video and photography. And this program right here is definitely essential. Now, I've gotten away with just using editing programs and conversions with those, but this is the real deal. This program allows for batch processing. It's a problem solver is the best way to put it. And it can do a lot more than just video and frame rate conversions. I can't even get into the depth of this program properly, but it does color management. It does HDR to SDR conversions. It does upscaling. It does downscaling. It can do chroma keying. It can do video noise reduction. It can do, audio compression. I don't know how good it is, but I'll just put it like this. What I need it to do is excellent. All the other things are bonuses. I mean, this is an 8K video that I'm loading up. It's going to take a little bit because I'm not using a brand new computer, but 8K, it's future-proofed, right? For the most part. And actually, even though I can't use the original files properly, I can use a proxy file by going up to here and choosing create proxy file. And at that point I can edit it, right? Great. And like I said, this is a great little program for just daily usage if you are a video professional. And the reason I didn't buy the previous versions is because I don't think that it did an adequate job of cell phone conversion. And by that I mean you have cell phones or tablets that create variable frame rate files, and they don't play well inside of professional video editing timelines. They finally nailed it with version 7, and version 7 supports file formats that I think are essential to modern broadcast creations or whatever you want to call it. This satisfies, I would say, 95% of my needs, and that is a really good number. So, let me show you a few other things it can do besides just taking in 8K video. I'll go back to the start. And so this is Outro Girl, I call her, for Real Home Recording. And, the key wasn't exactly the greatest. It was okay. It was fine in the center, but on the edges, it got a little dark. And on top of that, the biggest problem was the file that I was sent was low bitrate. So it caused issues when I needed to chroma key it. It wasn't perfect, but it was what it was. But this program made it a lot easier to nail the chroma key. You see that? Now, there are still issues like when her hands move, you can see a little bit of the green screen. You see that on the edges a little bit? If I zoom in, you can... Okay, see that? See how it's still green edges? And you can see a little bit here as well. And I believe that is a data rate issue. And yes, I should have asked for a higher data rate file. I just, I figured it didn't cost that much money to get this video made, so I just wrote it off as whatever. And next time I will ask for a higher bit rate. But yeah, I was otherwise happy with this video, but look at how good this keys. It also has this mode. I'm not going to say this is the best chroma keying program in the world. I think that After Effects from Adobe has a really good one built in, but this one works quite well, and it has a lot of good features. It does a good job. Again, not the best, but it didn't take me long to pull this good key out of here. And again, I think it might just be down to... All right, so I figured out where the option was. There's so many things to remember with this program that might be, although it's easy to use, when you really get into the options, that's when it can be a problem. But I forgot what I had changed. So it's the options right here under video area. And I'll change that to the transparency checkerboard. You can also do the gray one. You can also do white or black. So, the bottom line is the chroma key for a program that isn't really supposed to be a chroma keyer. Again, I bought it for media conversion. Here you go. Speaking of media conversion, this is the type of stuff I love. It tells me pretty much every detail I want to know about the file. What is the maximum data rate? What's the average bit rate? We have what codec it is, the color range, the color space, the color format. So is it 422? Is it 444? Is it 420? What are we working with here? What's the actual frame rate? And then, of course, we have our audio information as well. And if you want to replace the audio with something else, you have that option. Or hey, do you want to replace the video portion as well? You can do that too. So let me get to another part that is the big upgrade here, and that's timeline mode. So you just click this button and it asks you, hey, do you want to save? You should say yes, just in case. Or should I say, you should save first and then hit yes. And then usually what I'll do is just get the information from the clip, and it'll tell you some of the information like frame rate, resolution, things like that. Hit next, and then it will find it in the templates. And if it's wrong for some reason, you can change it here. But 99 times out of 100, it will be correct. So hit OK. And now we have our video. And because I chroma keyed it, it's transparent. And so I can actually drop another clip in here so that she has a different background. Now I would have to edit that either in one of these Mastering Work 7 timelines or in another editing program. But the fact that I now have the capability to do this, I also have other things I can do here. I can add filters. So let's do a blur. Now the weird thing is how to add these filters in, because it's not like other programs where you drop it and then it's whatever's cut. No, you actually have to right click it, choose add, and then it creates this block. And then you click the block, and then over here are your options, so you can blur it however you want. So, but hey, I would consider this stuff high quality. It does not slack on these effects for the most part. And like I said, this is a $120 program. So it's not exactly cheap, but for professional video software, hey, anytime I can have extra options with a program, I'll take it. So Mastering Works is becoming an editing program slowly over time. So it started off as a media conversion program, and a high quality one at that. But now it is getting to the point where they are adding in extra things, and it's only going to get more interesting from here on out. Now, the thing I like about it the most is it doesn't crash very often. Although it supports VST audio plugins, let's just say it's not so great. So I wouldn't really recommend using it. And speaking of audio, where's our audio track at? It's not there. But again, this program is not primarily an editing program, so I really can't take points off for that. But I guess my point is you can do a lot of things. Let's do another filter. Okay, so I'm just going to mess with the color here. Turn her into an alien or something like that. I don't know. Old school MTV look. Now she's an Oompa Loompa. Anyway, you get my point. You can do a lot of interesting things in this program beyond media conversion, but that is where it shines for sure. And again, once you turn to timeline mode, you can't go back. So make sure you want to go into timeline mode for sure before you click that button. It does warn you, to be fair, though. All right, so here's really the main part of the program, and that is the ability to convert it into a bunch of different things. My favorite is definitely the QuickTime one, Avid DNX HD or DNXHR. Pick your poison, as it were. And, you have a bunch of different options. Audio, again, well, in this case, because it's QuickTime, we're a little bit limited, but we can do a bunch of different things. And I'll show you. Look at all these different formats you can do. You want something on DVD? You want it on Blu-ray? Do you want it on AVC? It's got my favorite, lossless VP9. And by the way, it's perfect for running processes overnight because, as you can see, not only will it convert to my QuickTime file, but it'll also convert to the VP9. Again, we can do a lossless one. That's cool. If we want to have it at the best quality with the lowest data rate, but still awesome quality, you can change the performance. Let's do another one. We'll do my favorite for the internet, or archiving, I should say, MKV, Matroska, which is a container format, which you can basically throw anything at. Look at this. Look at all our options here. So if I don't want to do a WebM, then I'll do this for VP9. Or I can use X265 or HEVC, whatever you want to call it. This is what I use 9 times out of 10 because it just works great. Especially for like screen captures like I'm doing right now. The file is so small. And anyway, again, we have a bunch of different options and most of them are chosen for us. I would say this, a lot of times the frame rate the sample rate for audio does not match the audio, the original one. So make sure that that's equal. My favorites are, of course, FLAC, Opus, sometimes just regular old PCM, but we can do all kinds of sample rates. For FLAC, it supports the same thing. Basically, we can do 20-bit or 24-bit audio. I love it. I love all these different options. And then, of course, we can do either variable bit rate, constant bit rate, constant quality, and if we want to be really, really crazy about things, we can go very slow on the encode. And yes, it is very slow. Typically, I'll have it on either normal or somewhat slow. So my total file size is bigger than it needs to be, but it also doesn't take 12 hours to encode a file. So over to our right, we have a few more options. We can do 2-pass, and this is really where this program comes in handy because although I will typically use a program called Handbrake, this one I can do a 2-pass encode. I can do other things that I normally could not do. If I want to just get audio only, I can do that simply by clicking this drop-down menu right here. And once I do that, my options over here will be gone. Just watch. And if I clicked it by accident, just hit Control-Z. That undoes it. And also I can save templates down here, or I can save it as a default. Again, not that you can't do that in Handbrake, but to me, where this program really shines, and it doesn't really make sense for this video, actually, I'm going to have to show you. Here we go. Okay, so the other big reason I bought this program Right now I am archiving a lot of my old videos, and a lot of my old videos were shot standard definition interlaced. And interlacing does not play well for computer screens. Why? Because interlacing looks like you have rectangles and lines going through your screen, unless you deinterlace. Well, the problem is not all deinterlacers are created equal. This one in this program is great. So you click filters. Again, this doesn't really make any sense for me to be doing this because this is not an interlaced video, but it's just to make things a little bit easier. I'm going to show you. So here's the interlace filter. And then down here we have all our different modes. And my two favorites, actually three favorites. Double frame rate, which most of my older NTSC videos were shot at 60i. So that's 60 interlaced frames per second. So it looks like it's running at 60 frames per second, but it's not really. It's technically 30, but 30 half frames, I guess you could say. But or 60 half frames, but 30 frames per second for real. Anyway, here's the thing. You click that, then you click this one. I wish high precision was the default, but it's not. This looks incredible. But that's not all. You also have inverse pull down, which is great if you have an old DVD, or let's say you have DVX 100 footage that was shot and then it was encoded into a DVD. And so technically it's progressive scan, but it's not really. So you use this and it gets 24 actual frames from your data. And you have two options actually. One, if you're having issues with stripes, you can choose the bottom option. Normally, I would just go with this one. But also, if you have issues with, I don't know, when the camera's panning and it just looks wrong, you should choose motion prioritized. But I'll usually go with that one. And then under here is when I do the inverse pull down. So unless I'm having major issues, which again, that's why I like using this program, I have options, I'll use this one. This one takes the longest, but it isn't always the best to use. So just because you have this as the quote-unquote best option, that doesn't mean you should use it necessarily, because it can degrade signal quality. So just try. What I like to do is I can just, set the clip. Let me go back to the regular editor to do this. So over here, I'm going to hit cut edit. And I'm going to find my in point. And it's this bracket right here, which it already is the start frame. The other way you can do it is you can drag this and move it. So let me just move it to, you see how it highlights that in orange? That's what's called an iframe, and it's best to cut on the iframes for lossy video like this. And let's see. If you can't avoid it, that's not that big of a deal, but it's just better to cut on the iframes. So let me find the last frame. Actually, right here when she's doing the thumbs up stuff, there's some motion. I'll start it on that one. And then I'll find the end. And then this close bracket. That's my new clip. I'll hit OK. Now I'll test it out by changing all these options. Okay, that's why I did it. So it goes to the last thing that you edited. I was having issues with it going to the filter. So just to double click it, you don't want that. So filter, and then I would choose that one, and then whatever other option I wanted. and then I would just run a little 10-second long test clip to see what looks best. Another thing that I look at is foliage, because a lot of times there's issues with deinterlacing and foliage. So if you can find a part of your video where there's tree branches or bushes and the camera's moving, you want to see how that looks with the encode. Anyway, I love the options. This program's great. You can do a 30-day trial, no questions asked. You just have to, every time you use it, you have to register the trial again. You have to be on the internet, I believe, when you are demoing this. And I do believe even after you buy it, you have to be on the internet like once every 15 days, give or take. But hey, you know, they got to fight the software pirates somehow. Again, there's a lot of other things. I wrote down a lot of notes about this program. I will include those. I will link to that below if you want to see some more details in depth. But really all I have to say, the bottom line about this program is it's very good if you are a video professional. Definitely consider buying it. It is affordably priced relative to other professional programs. And just in general, I have nothing but positive things to say about this. Although there are some issues that I've run into. Like I said earlier about the VST plugins not really working that well. But in the grand scheme of things, it's minor. Like, oh, here's another one. It doesn't support AV1 videos. And, you know, that's a future format that is going to gain in popularity. I don't know if it'll support it in version 7, but maybe. That's another good thing about it. The last version that came out was in the year 2015. So TMPG doesn't just make programs every year and, you know, make their old stuff obsolete. No, they support their programs for a good long while. That's why I'm now an owner of 2 of their programs, this one and AuthoringWorks, which is also another great program if you do DVD and Blu-ray authoring. But anyway, I've said enough. Check it out for yourself if you're in the market for something like this. And give this video a thumbs up if you thought this review was informative. This has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com.